I wanted to make this video explaining the mindset that you need to have in actually building, starting, scaling an agency or a coaching business of any sort. You hear a lot of the times from these big gurus, um, mindset is key, 80% is mindset, 20% is actual strategies. I really didn't understand what the hell that meant. Because let's say if I believe that I can get to that six-figure goal or whatever the goal was, I would get there. It just doesn't work like that. It's actual strategies. But as I got into it, as I started putting the actions in the past 3 years, I slowly figured out, okay, there's some truth to what they said, right? So I've spent 30,000 in courses, coaches, mentors, and they just ranged those courses and mentors. Like they gave me videos, and they ranged from like 3 to 4 hours each one. Right, total I've consumed hours and hours of mindset videos. Right, it has like made a huge impact, and like it really has skyrocketed how much I've actually earned up till now, just on base of like how I actually understand these and how I can actually implement them. Right, so I've compiled the most important ones because I'm a big believer in the 80-20 principle, like as in 80% of the results come from 20% of the actions. So I feel like these mindsets are the 20%, the most important, the needle pushing mindsets that you need in actually starting or scaling your agency to that six figure or multiple six figure mark. So we'll get started with the conveyor belt concept. So this is something I feel like I've actually made. I could be wrong, but I haven't heard it before. But anyway, we'll get straight into it. So if you kind of look at your life as a conveyor belt, right? And let's say your 24-hour mark starts from the middle somewhere here, right? And one spin is basically coming out where this section is. So what you need to kind of look at your life as is whatever you're doing consistently is the type of result that you have in life. So look back in the 90 days and ask yourself, what is the thing that you have done consistently? If it's complaining, do you kind of understand why you have the results that you have? If it's doing the right actions, maybe you are getting some sort of results. You kind of know, like, okay, I've done this thing consistently and I've got this result at the end. Right? So the whole idea is it takes 90 days of doing something consistently to actually get some solid results from it, like noticeable, tangible results from it, right? So what you kind of understand is with your life, what you have to do is understanding that 90 spins of this conveyor belt being your life and the boxes being the actions that you do will equal the result. So what you can do is kind of reverse engineer from the result you want. So if you want to get to a six-figure agency, what you need to ask yourself is what are the basic consistent things? What are the 20%, the needle pushing activities that I can do every single day to start a six-figure coaching or agency business, right? So for any service-based business, if you can really simplify and boil things down, it's basically booking qualified calls, converting those calls into high-paying clients, and then fulfilling the service to those clients, basically. So if you really focus just on these three things, people love to overcomplicate business and like get some sort of like virtue from like making things complicated and finding business complicated. Look, it's not. Like everyone I've noticed who's making up to seven figures a month, all they do is just the basic things at scale. So what I'm trying to say is, let's say for example, for a service-based business, let's say the first box will be booking qualified calls, second box will be sales, third box will be fulfillment of your service, right? So if you kind of ask yourself, if your goal is six figures a month, you need to ask yourself, okay, let's start off with how many calls we need to get to this goal, reverse engineer from the goal. How much do I need to convert into actual paying clients? And how will I actually deliver to them? If you do the actions that you set out by reverse engineering from your goal, you do those things consistently for 90 consistent days, it'll be unreasonable for you to not have the result. What happens is people get so distracted in the basically distractions of life that you never actually get anywhere. Like one thing you have to remember, and I'll cover this in the bonus section, right, is one thing at a time. People love doing everything together. Well, I'll do this, this, and that because of that impatience. And I've noticed that's a lot of immaturity, right? Like maturity, from what I've noticed at least, is controlling yourself, controlling your emotions, realizing, okay, I've tried doing everything together at once, like focusing on my health, wealth, relationships, everything together, going towards all my goals in every aspect together. Have I got the result that I wanted up until now? If not, then it's absurdity to keep on doing the same actions and expecting a different result. Let's change that and focus on one thing at a time. Let's say if you want to like really change your life, like build some like a solid business, get some sort of money coming into you to your business, and you have to ask yourself, okay, what is the goal? Reverse engineer and put the right actions on the conveyor belt. Conveyor belt being your life, right? So always remember 90 spins of the conveyor belt equals results. So you have to ask yourself, what are you placing on the conveyor belt? And you have to ask yourself, am I doing the right actions? Am I placing the right things on the conveyor belt to even expect the result that I want? So hopefully that made sense. Moving on to accountability. Look, when you understand the basic principles of how basically call setting works, what an agency business basically is, what basically business is, right? You will figure it out whether you get some sort of system from a mentor course, whatever. You can figure it out, but like by just like a Google search or YouTube. But it's about actually understanding systems and then asking yourself, how can I make this work for myself? Because the systems do work, right? Even the systems that potentially we will give you or you might find in other programs, they do work, right? But you have to ask yourself, can you make them work for yourself? So a lot of people have this unicorn syndrome, as in basically, no, it works for you, but it doesn't work for yourself. I personally believe that is the biggest form of arrogance. It's like, I'm special. Things don't work for me. I need something special for it to work for me. But if you like truly like how my life changed was I stopped questioning the systems and started questioning myself, right? How can I make this work for myself? What can I do? And it all just comes from doing it again. The first concept, doing things consistently, right? When people go wrong, it's they don't do things consistently or they don't do the right things consistently, right? So you have to ask yourself, which one are you not doing? So accountability. Always think, is this a proven system? Yes, they've made it work for myself. How can I make this work for me? Right? Then moving on to law of averages. This is a very interesting principle. So before I started into business, I used to think like businesses just ran off of luck. Like money just came in, like there was no sort of numbers or any prediction. Money just came in all of a sudden. But I soon found out that's not the case at all. Everything about life is numbers. Basically, the law of averages state that if you do something a number of times, a pattern starts to emerge. And when a pattern starts to emerge over a large enough data set, then you can kind of project it for the rest of basically your life. Being, let's say if your marketing says that you have to send this many cold messages or cold DMs or use let's say you're using our LinkedIn growth funnel, you have to use the system this amount of times and you get this result, then you can kind of write it down, get the percentage, and then project it later on, like how much would you need to do if you wanted to scale, what would the numbers be? And that's how every single business operates, right? So like another thing like you have to realize is like life is kind of about numbers. And I seriously did not understand that. I asked one of my mentors, how does the law of averages work and how is it so predictable? And he said to me, um, back then he was doing around like 200K a month, and he said to me that when I started out, like basically when he started out, he used to fantasize getting to the big numbers, right? How would that feel, and how would I get there? And he was like, at this point, it's just all numbers. I know I need this number to get there. Now I'm like around his stage. Now I understand. Okay, yeah, like that that is literally what business is. And I asked him, how does it work? And he was like, I don't know, mate. Ask your creator when you go to him, right? I was like, okay, fair enough. Just don't question the laws of the world, right? It's just numbers. Everything works off of numbers, right? So you need a large enough data set when you determine a pattern. And all this even happens if you track your numbers, right? What a lot of people do is they base their decisions in the business off of emotions. What you need to do is track clear data, and then you can make clear, solid decisions from it, right? Again, coming back to emotions, right? When you're not tracking, you're too focused on the 1 day, 1 hour, 2 hour, right? But what you need to do is like kind of look at things, look at your business, each subsection as kind of a systems view. What is the input? What is the output over a large enough data set? Typically, the data set needs to be at least 30 of that thing. Let's say marketing, if it's like whatever set of marketing it is, or let's say, for example, sales calls, 30 sales calls, then you can judge, okay, I'm going wrong here, then you can make adjustments. But if you can't, let's say, for example, you get 2 closes, but the next 8 calls, you don't get any closes. What a lot of people start doing is start getting emotional, right? Will I ever make money again? Whatever. But you need to kind of see, okay, within a large enough data set, 30, what is my percentage? If it's 25 to 40%, then it's normal, right? So yeah, it is a very crucial principle, right? The last one I would say is action, analyze, adjust. A lot of people are stuck in life because they want to analyze everything before actually taking action, and nothing will ever make sense, right? So I heard this a long time ago called the 40-70 principle. I know it doesn't add to 100, but it's what it basically says is never know more than 70% because it stops you from actually taking action, and never know less than um, so never know more than 70% and never know less than 40%. Either way, it's too much, if that makes sense. So just take action. If you know something works, if someone's recommended to you, right? If a mentor or myself, if I said this system works, put it into action. When you have a large enough data set by tracking, then analyze, okay, maybe we should do this, maybe we should do that, and then adjust according to that. Not because of how you feel, not because of like whatever, right? Just action, analyze, adjust. Action, track, analyze, and then adjust things. Right? That's how anything works. It's basically consistency. Everything just ties in together. Right? And then with action, analyze, adjust, when you have data that you've been tracking, then you come to a part of finding the bottleneck, right? Finding the bottleneck where the problem actually is. So that's another art, like it's a skill. Like when you have the data, what your next steps are is that you need to accurately identify a bottleneck, right? Where the actual problem is, because within a system, there's subsections. So where in the system is a problem, and if you can accurately circle that out, then you can focus onto it and then improve that. But if you fix things where it didn't need to be fixed, then the whole system breaks. So again, the bottleneck principle: come to where the problem actually is, and then use a scientific method. Scientific method being having a clear outcome that you want, like knowing the clear constraint, like you know, Einstein said, I'm not sure if I'm wording it correctly, but if you had an hour to solve a problem, you spend like 50-55 minutes actually coming up with how to actually phrase the problem properly, or like come up with what the actual problem is. Then you can find the solution very easily. um, you understand the principle, right? I'm not sure if I worded it correctly, but anyway, so you understand what the actual problem is by using the bottleneck principle, action, analyze, adjust, and then have a clear kind of end goal that you want. And then according to that, then you make hypotheses. Okay, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this, right? And then you test each one out for at least 21 days. And then if you have some sort of momentum towards each any of the hypotheses, that's where you go full on into. That makes sense, right? So action, analyze, adjust. You have data, you use bottleneck principle, then you use the scientific method to actually solve that problem. That's how you can literally solve any problem in life. Just to end things off, bonus principles, mirror principle. How you do one thing is how you do everything. As in, if you're impatient with other ways in life, like you'll do the same in business, and it will reflect with everything. Business is basically a reflection of you as a person. Like it literally is so true, right? Again, with mirror principle, if you think or judge business owners, or you think everything is a scam or whatever, then everyone's gonna think, like, let's say you want to start a business, then you're gonna feel like everyone's gonna think you're a scam, and then it's gonna affect your actions, and then you're never gonna get the result, and it's just a stupid trap that you put yourself into. So again, don't judge others like you won't feel like others are judging you. Right? It's a very crucial principle you need to understand. And then lastly, one thing at a time. Pick what area in life you want to maximize right now and put all your focus into, right? And fix that first, then move on to other things. Seriously, it's crazy how it works. Like, you look at yourself, like this is you as a circle, and then you're being pulled by every single direction, like arrows, let's say your family life, this, that, right? But you're not moving anywhere. You're trying to do everything together, but you're not moving anywhere. And if that is something you're not agreeing with right now, you have to ask yourself, okay, I don't agree with it. Fair enough. Let's try it out. Let's try and do everything at once for the next 30 days. If nothing still happens, let's try and change the actions to expect a different result, right? So what's really worked for me is kind of cutting everything off, putting everything at their minimum viable, as in enough to let everything go. Like, I'm not completely neglecting relationships or my health or whatever, enough to keep it going. Like, create systems for everything. So you don't have to think, like, your mental capacity should not be going towards everything, and put it towards a specific goal. And that's how you make quick progress towards things. So there needs to be a season of misbalance to potentially get the thing that you want. That makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions. Just shoot over a message to me. I'll happily go into more detail on how you can potentially apply this into your life. Yeah, hopefully this was useful. And I'm always here to answer any questions regarding these or anything else that you're struggling with mindset wise.